Hey guys, it's Michelle from Sweet Pea Farm, and today I wanted to share with you how I ended up on Sweet Pea Farm and maybe something that most of you don't know that could be tough to talk about, but I'm going to try to make it positive because it totally is a positive thing. I grew up in Watertown, New York, which is right outside Fort Drum, New York, a local military base, and inevitably met a young soldier when I was 19 and fell in love. And within like 6 months, we were married in June. And we had our first little girl, our only little girl, at the end of November. Her name is Michaela. You guys maybe have heard me call her Birdie. And we were over the moon. We lived in military housing. I had turned 20 in the meantime. He was 20 already. And he was a Black Hawk crew chief. He had been a mechanic when I met him, but his dream was to learn more about helicopters and have more responsibility with them. And part of that is having flight hours. So he was working on getting his ranking as a crew chief or whatever. And you know, there's a lot of training and everything that goes into helicopter flying. So on March 11th, they were set to go out on a morning flight, but a snowstorm had come in. So they canceled the flight and then ended up rescheduling the flight for the afternoon. And it was a three-bird maneuver, so 3 helicopters were going out to fly with 4 aviators on each bird and then several infantrymen on each helicopter as well, because they were training to get ready to go over to Afghanistan. This was before the wars and the turmoil in the Middle East was going on, you know, the one that's just recently been happening. So nobody was over there yet. They were training to go over, both the aviation guys and the infantry guys. So Bear was on the 3rd helicopter of that formation. Shortly after they had taken off, the first 2 helicopters realized they had lost the 3rd. The helicopter had gone down and it had lost 11 of the 13 people on the aircraft. So of the 11 that they lost, my husband, Barry, was one of the people that passed away. 2 men survived. They had been in the wreck and had some severe injuries, but 2 of the infantrymen ended up surviving. And that could be a whole story, all the people that passed away and their awesome stories and their awesome families. But my family was, at the time, Barry, who I had just lost, and our 3-month-old baby, Michaela. So I moved in with my parents for about a year, and I'm going to get through this just fine. So I keep pausing, and I'm going to be all right. So obviously, I'm doing good. So I got my feet under me after about a year. I lived with my parents. I ended up buying a house around the corner from them. I actually showed dogs for about a decade. When Michaela was little, it was like my outlet. My dad and I like hit the road. We had a Winnebago, and we flew all over the country showing dogs, Boston Terriers and French Bulldogs. And that was a really amazing experience for me. I met so many cool people. Michaela grew up in this great, weird, crazy environment of showing dogs. She showed dogs herself, and it was a great thing. It's actually how we got involved with 4-H, was through dog showing. And so we showed dogs for about 10 years. Let's see. Michaela's 16 now, so I met Matt when she was 6. So about 6 years after I had lost Michaela's dad, I met Matt, who is my current honey, and I'm still not married to him because I didn't want Michaela to feel abandoned or left out. Maybe that doesn't make sense to other people, but everybody does things differently. So I wanted to maintain the same last name as Michaela and whatever, but I met Matt. I loved Matt. And we own several houses together, and we have a couple kids together. So the commitment of the marriage is there in heart, but it's not legally documented because I didn't want to leave Michaela hanging. So Matt was also in the military. He had a different MOS, which is like he didn't fly helicopters, right? Because that would have been rough. But he was in the military. He deployed 3 days after I met him. Came back, we decided to start a relationship, and he deployed again to Iraq, at which point he was medically retired from the Army. and he ended up going to school to be an accountant, which is so weird because he's very tattooed and very funny and crazy, and he just doesn't look like an accountant, but he is. He's actually got his master's degree in accounting. He has a phenomenal job, and he works very hard and is very good at it, even though I'm better at basic math, but I'm just saying. So so Matt was in our life. We retired. We decided we wanted to move. We looked all over the place for houses, and we ended up just buying property in a nearby rural town, still close to my parents, but not right in the city of Watertown. It's not a huge city, but it's a city. And we built a house out on 16 acres in this little town of Champion. And we built the house on a road named after baby sheep. So after we had a garden, and Chloe was just born right after we moved. Chloe's my middle daughter who just turned 7. We moved here in December, and then Chloe was born in that February. So months after Chloe was born, and we got some ducklings, we got some chicks. I wanted a garden, of course. Long story short, Matt's like, we live on Lamb Road, we need to get sheep. Like, we have to. And I was like, what am I going to do with sheep? Like, I'd never even thought of owning sheep. So we bought baby doll sheep, and we decided that we had a farm, because now we had chickens and ducks and a garden and sheep, and we were building a barn, and we were building our farm, and we were doing stuff with wool. So of course we had to name our farm, and we decided to name it Sweet Pea Farm because obviously I definitely attribute a large portion of the blessings in my life, whether they are my children or my Matt or my farm. I think Bear put most of them in my path, so, and God, obviously, but I definitely think that Bear is a guardian angel for myself and for Michaela. And so we named the farm after what he called Michaela when he was here, which was his little sweet pea. He was Southern, and that's what he just called her. So we are Sweet Pea Farm NY because we wouldn't be here if I hadn't met that magical man, 17 years ago. And losing him obviously was awful, and I would wish that on no one, but he's put so much joy in my life, even since he's been off the earth. So it has been a huge blessing, and we have grown, and definitely faith, and grown in farming, and all of that is largely attributed to the blessings that Barry's put before me. So I just wanted to share with you guys a little background about where we come from, and maybe people think it's a little weird that I have a 16-year-old and a 2-year-old. Well, there was a large gap in time where I wasn't having children and wasn't with anyone to have children with until I met Matt, and was blessed with 2 more little girls. So things are definitely not always what they seem, and it is definitely interesting to learn about everybody else's story. So I just wanted to share a little bit with you guys about my story and about my wonderful blessings that put me in place to have Sweet Pea Farm. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I hope it found some joy and maybe inspiration for you, because sometimes life hands you really giant sucky lemons, and we are what we make of it. So our reactions and our ability to grow from difficult situations is what we're made of. So we definitely are blessed now. I'm living a dream. I have a beautiful farm, a beautiful family, and although there was a lot of hardship when I was younger and a lot of things that I went through to get to where I am today, I'm here, and I'm here because of I believe my faith and my late husband and my beautiful 16-year-old who I was so scared to have when I was so young. But anyway, I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. If you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to the channel and keep up to date with what's going on the farm.